Dear learners, welcome back to my channel Rendezvous. So today what we have is imperative and interrogative sentence pattern in continuation to my previous sessions on sentence construction. Assertive sentence pattern I have already covered, and for that and other aspects of sentence construction, please watch my previous videos. For that, click the I button. Now for today, what I have first is imperative sentence pattern. If you have already watched my session on assertive sentence pattern, you already know that assertive sentences follow the SVO structure, the subject verb object structure. But for imperative sentences, we shall notice a shift from there. So please have a look. We first have the pattern A. For pattern A, we can see that there are some examples, and all of the examples have started with verb and then object of verb and preposition. For example number 1, open the book. Here the subject must be you, because in imperative sentences what we do is we issue an order or we express a request. So the subject here is you, but we are not to spell out the subject or write that subject. All of the subjects here in these sentences are implicit subjects. That means the subject is implied indirectly here, but it must not be said or written. So the full sentence is you open the book, but the subject is implicit or implied. Coming to the example number 2, switch on the heater. Example number 3, write on the given page. Example number 4, give me some sugar. And example number 5, put on your coat. Now, you might say that all of the sentences have you as the implied subject, but the imperative sentence pattern doesn't allow me or allow anyone for the subject to be said or written there explicitly. The subject is implied and it is implicit. Okay, now coming to pattern B. For pattern B, we have again implied or implicit subjects. It mustn't be written or said. It is there, but it is not seen. It is implicit and implied. So the sentence explicitly starts with verb and then where. For example, run to the door. Run where? To the door. Walk across the hall. Go to the market. Come here. So we can see after verb we have some group of words which directs the action where the action is taking place. So you can see after verb we have some group of words which expresses where or towards which place the action is taking place. Run to the door, walk across the hall, go to the market, come here, like this. So the main point to keep in mind is that for imperative sentence we are seeing a shift from the SVO structure regarding that the subject is not explicit here, it's implicit or it's implied indirectly. And then follows the verb and after verb there might be object, there might be a group of words which expresses towards the place or where the action of the verb is taking place. Now another point I would like to mention here is imperative sentences can be order or request. For sentences which expresses request, we may put a please or kindly or these kind of words before verb. So for example, I might say, please give me a glass of water, or please pass me the sugar, etc. So now moving on to interrogative sentence pattern. Now I have laid out the examples of interrogative sentence pattern against the assertive sentences to make it more clear for you. For assertive sentences, the pattern follows the SVO structure, the subject verb object structure, but for interrogative sentences there is a change. And what is that? I will come to that in detail. For example number 1, in assertive part, assertive sentence, he is a student. Suppose I am asked to make it interrogative. How should I do it? Now you can see that the main verb here in the assertive form, it is. So the rule is you have to put that verb before the subject, because he is the subject here and this is the main verb, and in this case the main verb is be verb. And what are be verbs? Be verbs are am, is, are, was, were. Am, is, or in the present tense, was, were in the past tense. Past tense singular, was, past tense plural, were. So here is the main verb which happens to be the be verb, and he is the subject, and the main verb which is a be verb goes before the subject. And tense here is he a student? I have just put the be verb before the subject here. Example number 2, Reba has got a headache. Reba has got a headache. Now in this sentence you can see the main verb is has got. So in these types of sentences I have to put the has before the subject. So you have to put here the verb which is has before the subject, and now the sentence becomes, has Reba got a headache? For example number 3, the sentence is, he will write the essay. This is the assertive form. Here also the subject is he and this is the verb, the auxiliary verb. So here also the verb goes before the subject and the interrogative sentence becomes, will he write the essay? For example number 4, Maya is singing the morning raga. Here also the verb is this, is singing, and subject is Maya. So here also I have to put is before the subject, and the sentence becomes, for interrogative form, is Maya singing the morning raga? So if the assertive form has be verb which are am, is, are, was, were, is, am, or for the present tense, was, were for the past. This is for singular, is for singular, am also for singular, and is for plural, and this for singular, and were for plural. If we have the have verb in the assertive form, has, have, and had in the past tense, has, have for the present, and if we have shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might, these verbs, the rule is same. You have to put the verb before the subject to make an assertive sentence and interrogative one. So this is the simple rule of making interrogative sentences from assertive sentences. Now, other than the verbs that I have already mentioned, we can also have another verbs for which before the main verb goes the auxiliary verb do, did, does. What are the rules for these kinds of sentences? We shall come to that. Suppose, for example, number 1, we have he reads every day. How to make this assertive sentence into an interrogative one? I have to make it clear here that reads, the verb here is reads, which is actually does plus read, because he is third person singular, and with third person singular we have the auxiliary verb does before the main verb, and the rule is I have to shift this auxiliary verb before the subject. He is the subject to make this interrogative, and the interrogative form then becomes, does he read every day? For our next example, we have you play cricket weekly. You is the subject, play is the verb, this is the object, and this is the adverb. Here also for play it means do plus play. So do is again the auxiliary here, and I have to place this auxiliary, shift this auxiliary before the subject. The subject is you here, to make this assertive sentence into an interrogative one, and the sentence becomes, do you play cricket weekly? For our next example, we have you studied Hamlet. Now you can see that this verb is in the past tense. So studied means did plus study. Again, here did is the auxiliary verb, and the rule is I have to put this did before the subject, which is you here. So the sentence becomes, did you study Hamlet? These rules that I have written here, this is to make you understand this in a better way. Now coming to interrogative sentences which have the WH words in them. What are the rules for that? Now the WH words are, like we all know, who, whose, whom, which, what, why, when, where, how much, how many, and etc. If the interrogative sentences have them, what are their patterns? Now please have a look at these examples. Whose this person? Whose letter is this? Whom do you seek? Which is your book? What are you reading? When do you play? Where does he study? Why do you go there? Now, if you notice, you will see that these kinds of sentences, these kinds of interrogative sentences which have WH words, the WH words are placed before everything else. These sentences start with WH words. The previous rule that I said, that you have to put the verb, the auxiliary verb before the subject, or if the sentence have the have verb, you have to put that have verb before the subject, or if the sentence has be verb as the main verb, you have to put the be verb before the subject. This is not like those. This is different. These sentences have WH words, and if the interrogative sentences have the WH words, the WH words come first before anything else. So this is the rule. So WH word come first, then the verb. For example number 1, we have be verb, is a be verb. For example number 2 also, there is a be verb. For example number 3, we have the auxiliary here, do. For the next example, we do have the be verb. And for this example, where do you play, we have the do verb as an auxiliary. Again, for the next example, we have the do verb for the auxiliary, because he is a third person singular, it is does. And for the last example also, we have do as the auxiliary and go as the main verb. So for these kinds of sentences, the WH words come first, and then the verbs, be it the be verb, be it the do verb as an auxiliary, and then the subject. As you can see, first WH word, then the be verb, and then the subject, and then the subject. So the SVO pattern is not followed here. What is followed is first the WH word, then the verb, then the subject. So for interrogative sentences, we have an altered sentence pattern which is different from SVO structure. Obviously, SVO structure is for assertive sentences only. For our next example, we have how does he sing? How many brothers have you? How much salt do you want? So in these cases also, these words first, how many, how much, and then because this sentence, how does he sing, this have an auxiliary, the auxiliary has been put before the subject. For the next example, this WH word, and then we have this have verb. Because this sentence have the have verb, we have then the have verb. And for the next example, this WH word, how is also a WH word. Then this do as auxiliary, which has again been put before the subject. So in this session, you have seen how to make interrogative sentences from assertive ones. I hope you like my content. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. And regarding this session, I would like to mention that I have only one class left in this sentence construction series. In our next session, I will have focus on the other two sentence patterns, which are the negative sentence pattern and the one that I have left here, the exclamatory sentence pattern. For that, please stay tuned. Goodbye.